Good morning. Welcome to the Eagles versus Commanders instant reaction video. This is the Blunt Talk Sports podcast hosted by your boy Anthony Wright. I love you guys. I thank you as always watching. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. Like I said, I'm bringing you an early morning edition reaction video from the Eagles Commanders game, pretty much late last night, and what a game it was. Definitely a slow start. You could tell both teams were definitely. It seemed like Philadelphia was definitely like kind of playing with his food or wasn't really ready yet. And you can see Washington had a game plan, but they weren't able to execute it fully. Like I said, I'll touch on all those things right now. But yeah, man, like I said, this will be the Eagles versus Commanders reaction video from the Thursday night football game. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and as well as on Substack. Getting right into the news and notes, guys. Eagles win the game 28-18. Like I said, dominant performance by the Eagles defense. But I want to start at the beginning of the game where the Eagles offense, it took them a good while to get going. I'm not sure what was going on. It seemed like one of those scenarios again where Sirianni and Moore might have been getting a little too cute with some of the play calling. But you can see how both teams were being physical early on. Both teams were definitely going to stick with the running game. And it was a cold night in Philly. It was like between 43 and 46 degrees. You know, the wind was blowing. Touch on that too in a little bit. So you kind of got the gist that, you know, it was going to come down to a point where guys are going to have to run the ball and play sound defense for that game to really be effective and come down to what it needs to for any of those teams to win. But I didn't like how, we kind of made some mistakes by not executing early. Jahan Dotson had a drop, in a play where A.J. Brown was wide open. I like the fact they tried to get them some touches, get them involved early, against this old team, helping, get some more, get a little revenge. But, that's cool and all. But sometimes you got to go with who's going to get the ball. And A.J. was open on that play. It could have been a first down, but it gets batted down by Mike Sanchez-Strode, and, it was 3-and-out. A lot of 3-and-outs to start the game, but it got Washington in a position where they were able to score Brian Robinson on the touchdown. Like I said, that was the third drive of the game. So, for what it's worth, credit to Washington for that. Like I said, I think you definitely had to be worried when you saw that. I don't know if it was a double, triple reverse. I don't know what the fuck Sirianni and Moore called there. We only need 30 yards to score, and you're calling a double, triple reverse. Like, you're getting too fucking cute. You're getting too fucking cute. This team is a little too sound defensively for you to be trying to run some bullshit like that. So, didn't like that play. That wound up leading to a missed field goal, which, Jake Elliott, God bless Jake Elliott, because I know Jake Elliott is, he's obviously one of the most integral pieces to this team. He is definitely, he was one of the reasons we won a Super Bowl. He's been one of the best kickers in the NFL since, he's been on this team. And he just didn't have a great night last night. Now, to be fair, I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to the link or been by the link, but we all know that the river is right there, right by the stadium. So sometimes, some nights, that calm breeze could be anywhere between 5 and 11 miles an hour. Those nights it's not too bad. But some nights where it might be a little blustery, where it's maybe 5 to 15 or 11, 7 to 15 miles per hour as far as the wind. Jake Elliott had a night where it was just like shit was sailing wide left. It just wasn't really working for him. He ended up 2 of 4 on field goals, but he was 3 or 4 on extra points. So, rough night at the office, but he was able to put it together. But this defense, I definitely wanted to make sure I hop on this defense. This defense is playing at a high level. I mean, I'm watching throughout the game how and I'm sitting there watching this game, and I'm like, damn, the Eagles defense is really keeping them in this fucking game. Getting two sacks early on Jayden Daniels, defensive line creating immense pressure. I mean, the stats, the wide receiver stats for Washington are fucking dreadful. I mean, to give you an idea how sound this Philly defense was playing last night, there were 4 wide receivers for Washington that caught passes. That's fucking atrocious. I don't care who you are. I don't care what we're talking about. That means you're not getting open. You're not getting any separation, and it's showing. 3 of 12 on third down. And for Washington, that was essentially a game because Philly's defense, honestly, throughout the first half, credit to Washington, The game plan was sound. They knew what they were trying to do. They got away with everything they wanted to do for the most part. They just weren't coming away with points. And that's the difference in a football game. You guys have heard me say this on this show plenty of times. Kicking field goals gets your ass kicked. Scoring touchdowns wins you games. So at the end of the day, that's what it came down to for Washington. You can't keep kicking field goals and thinking that you're going to hang with the elite teams. This is something that we've seen from them consistently. Again, credit to their defense, though. In the first half, they definitely were doing everything they can to try to bottle it up. But you kind of knew, and it's funny. I made the joke to a couple people I knew yesterday, and I kept saying the game was kind of playing out like the day I had yesterday. The day I had started out a bit rough. Some things that weren't going my way, wasn't really working out. A bit frustrated, and it was weird because it was like by the middle of the day, things started to turn around, and then by the night, things had just flourished. So everything was like great, fantastic. And that's kind of how this game went. Right before halftime, like I said, I was definitely upset about the play calling in the red zone. It was hella questionable. Like I said, just making it too complicated. You're down by 4 points. At that point, it's a 10-6 game. And it's funny because I literally wrote in the notes, Philly has to start finding the end zone. And it's right after that, they started, the defense steps up again. You get a big sack by Nolan Smith on a third down, which forces the Commanders to punt again. They started getting Smitty and AJ more involved. Referees missing face mask calls, 2 of them last night. There were some horrible fucking calls. Those referees last night were incompetent. They definitely did not call a clean game by any stretch of the imagination. And most people would say, why are you bitching when your team won? It wasn't about my team winning. It was about honestly making the right calls. Great call at the end of the game when the Zach Ertz touchdown in the back of the end zone, 2-point conversion. That was a great call. There were some calls. They missed the Devontae Smith face mask call. They missed the face mask call when Jalen Hurts in the red zone. Two crucial key plays where at that point in the game, if the Eagles pile on points right there, this game is probably a lot quicker than it should have been. But nonetheless, finally, it seemed like the Eagles finally, from the end of that first half going into the second half, that's when they really started to capitalize. But I really want to make sure that I give credit to this defense again. Zach Bourne, Jalen fucking Carter, Reed Blankenship have been playing, and I mean, the whole defense, period, because I definitely want to touch on Quinyon Mitchell too. This whole defense has been playing at a high level, another level, and I've just been astounded by the energy and effort and the way Vic Fangio has been able to turn this defense around. I had faith that him coming to this team, the defense would play better. I had faith that he was going to get this team right where they needed to be, and it's been astonishing. It really has. I've been very, very happy to see this. The thing that I think which really gives me great poise, or a little bit of poise right now, is the D-line starting to pick up. You saw it last night with Jalen Carter. Fucking monster. Just got whatever he wanted. At this point now, they're double teaming him and it's not stopping him. Nolan Smith's finally starting to catch on. Okay? You see Josh Sweat starting to catch on. Brandon Graham still Mr. Consistent. It's getting to that point now where you're seeing it. They're starting to put the pressure on. They're starting to attack differently. And now it's going to put them in situations where this team, I mean, they're winning the short yardage situations, guys. I mean, make no mistake. This team, I can go back to the Bengals game, maybe a game prior, remember the Cleveland game. They're winning the 3rd and 1s, the 4th and 2s, the 3rd and 2s, the 3rd and 3s, the 4th and 3s. They're winning those scenarios, and that's all from the line of scrimmage. That play that Washington ran, and I'm going to get into that 4th down call too, which I thought was fucking horrendous. That right there essentially killed it for Washington. But, that play gets all broken up by Jalen Carter fucking the game up, fucking the plan up. And then Jaden Daniels is pretty much like, man, I got to get the hell out of harm's way. And, it just pretty much went for naught. Like I said, and it was crazy because at that point, you get points. Zane Gonzalez has already made a 40-yarder in that stadium in the win. So you get points right there. Kind of works out. Everything's kind of cool. But they went for it, trying to be, amongst the elite, and they got their ass played. It was just a horrible call by Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury there in that moment. Like I said, it was funny because I felt like the offense, like, you got to punish your team for that. When they make a big decision like that and it fails, you have to score a touchdown and really make it hurt. And what was crazy was, Hurts throws a beautiful pass to Goddard. He gets upfield, up seam, he hurdles, separates the ball from his body, which I've always hated. I've never liked that from the days when I played Little League. I never liked when a guy takes the ball away from his body. It gets punched out. God bless Grant Calcaterra for being there to recover it, which pretty much saved the game and kept, the energy and the momentum going in Philly's favor. And then, of course, the moment we were waiting on, you saw Saquon the whole game kind of just chugging, getting yards. Not explosive yet, getting yards. Oh, couple up, snuck one, 7 yards. Oh, snuck one, 9 yards, but not really anything big yet. And when he broke loose, and at that point when he made it a 19-10 game, you kind of felt like the momentum was definitely shifting in Philly's favor. At that point then, Jaden Daniels turned the ball over. And touching on Jaden Daniels last night, did you kind of feel like maybe he's injured, or we starting to do you think he's injured, or do you think that there's film on him now? Because one of the things that I saw in college that I knew was going to probably happen in the NFL, because that issue is magnified or multiplied by 10 once you get to the pros. If you're playing against physical defenses in college and they can get at you and force you to make errant throws and throw dirt balls and throw to the back of guys' heels, that's a thing that's going to happen again in the NFL. And it happened last night. And it was funny because if you know college football, that game last night was the Georgia D-line from 2-3 years ago going up against Jaden Daniels. And just like it was a couple years ago, he doesn't really have that team. That pass rush gave him such fits where, like I said, credit to Vic Fangio and the scheme, credit to what he saw on tape. I'm pretty sure it looked like Jaden Daniels was hurt a bit. I'm pretty sure he's been battling with injuries, but there's a lot of hype on this young man. And I understand he's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's had a fantastic season, but this was the worst that he looked passing the football. I mean, hands down, this was the worst performance he has put out on tape this year. And I'll go into the numbers right here because, I mean, again, I'm watching this and I'm kind of like, he's not really making the plays they need him. He's not really making the throws they need him to make. This don't look like the guy 5-0 Jaden Daniels catching the league by storm. He was running. It looks like at some point he got hurt. He got hit. He got caught. And he's been trying to be cautious about that. And now he's indecisive on when to run. And if you got a team that's got a great pass rush that can get to him, then at that point, yeah, he's really just trying to get the ball out of his hands. And again, efficient, 22 of 32, but 191 yards. And he literally threw the ball no more than 6 yards. Backs and tight ends. Receivers not even getting the ball. So again, like I said, he was sacked 3 times too, so that definitely didn't help. But yeah, he just didn't look like himself at all. And I'm wondering if his injury, and I wonder if his injury and the combination of him being on film and teams are starting to figure that out, because that's going to be something, because they're limited. You kind of saw it last night. You could take away their running game. They do not have, shout out to Zach Ertz, Philly fucking legend. Always the Eagle in my opinion. Helped us win the Super Bowl. Outside of Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin, who was a fucking no-show yesterday, I'll touch on that in a second, they don't have much on offense. They don't. Everybody kept loving De'Ami Brown. You saw him yesterday, ineffective as all hell. You kept hearing about, well, this is the reason why they got rid of Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson had more yards than their receivers yesterday, which is even crazier. And you think about, he hasn't really done shit in Philly this year, so that's even more crazy. But yeah, Philly kept the pressure up on the Commanders, continued to shut them out. Like I said, 3 or 12 on third down. That was essentially the game for Washington. Like I said, but this Philly pass defense was flawless. The defense was a true MVP, and you got to give them their credit. Saquon Barkley, a fucking animal, beast on a whole nother level. 26 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. Essentially broke the game open. Jalen Hurts was also efficient, 18 to 28, 221 yards. You kind of knew it wasn't going to be that big passing game from him early on by the way things were going, but he made the efficient, effective, accurate throws that put this team in position. And for a slow, sloppy, disjointed first half, it was an exciting second half and definitely put this team in position to go on the stretch run. Like I said, 10-day layoff, so they got some time to really take off and get right. Now the whole purpose and focus now will be getting healthy and continuing the stretch run, because you got some energy now. And I felt what Jalen was saying. Momentum is kind of a fictitious thing to a degree where it can be taken away at any moment. So how real is that? Intangible is that? But at the same time, they got it going. And yeah, I mean, hell, even Kenny Gainwell, 4 carries, 43 yards, 10 yards per carry. This team is they're killing it running the ball. They're killing it running the ball right now. They are not. They're not fearful of what they can do as far as who they are, and they're starting to figure it out. Let's just continue to run this football. I mean, look at that. 228 rushing yards. 228 rushing yards. Unbelievable. 5.7 per game. Unbelievable. Washington, 93. It was averaging 3.3 yards per rush. So that was pretty much a game right there. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Like I said, I thank you guys for always watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to come up with another episode in a couple days. I definitely have some recap for you for the rest of week 11. Week 11 now, excuse me. Yeah, that's the start of it. So I have the rest of the recap for week 11 coming this Sunday. Also have a little college football update from some of the games that I'll check out. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I thank you guys for always watching. Take care and enjoy your morning.